Howdy folks, Shell Presto here. This is an entirely impromptu video. I don't normally do instructional videos, but a good online friend of mine asked me about two-point perspective templates. And two-point perspective templates are common and available. You can find them online, I'm sure, if you just search for two-point perspective templates. I have them from this Perspective for Comic Artist books by David Chelsea, and this is a really good book. I completely recommend it. This is just the best book for learning about perspective, but it does have perspective grids that you can follow along with in the background, but I don't like to use them. And I mean, if I'm doing a really detailed background, I can, but really and truly, I think they're a little complicated, and if you don't place your character, like if you don't draw your character exactly as you want them to appear on the grid right, I just find it a little complex and complicated. I think it's actually a lot easier to do it yourself, and I think it's simpler than people make it out to be. So I'm gonna go over just a couple little things that make it a lot easier to do two-point perspective, especially for beginners. So what is the horizon line? The horizon line is literally where the horizon is. It is where the land or water meets the sky. If you go outside and look around and you're not like me and live near a bunch of mountains, you will see that if you look straight ahead, then you will see where the horizon meets the sky, and it's a straight line unless you're doing an action scene or a altering it for effect. But this is beginner perspective. So for beginner perspective, we're going to say that the horizon line is always a straight line, and it's a straight horizontal line. And mountains rise above the horizon line. They block it. You can't see the sun. But this line that I'm drawing right here, right there, is the horizon line for this image. And as you can see, it's at this traveler's eye line. And that is the best place to put the horizon line when you are beginning to do two-point perspective. So you'd make a horizon line. So this horizon line would come out to here. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. But there are crazy things that you can do with a horizon line. You can lower it, but when you lower or raise the horizon line, you're changing where the viewer is looking at an image from. So on this image, you're looking up. You can see underneath this guy's jaw. You would be able to see this guy's armpit if his arm was raised. And the horizon line's way down here. It's at their feet. It's called a worm's eye view. And then with this image, the horizon line is way up here somewhere. And you can look down, you can see the roof of the building and the top of people's heads. That is a bird's eye view. And those are both complex. So let's talk about the easiest way to do perspective when you are starting out. Two-point perspective. So the big question that you may have when you are doing two-point perspective is, where the heck do I put the horizon line? Now I'm going to make it really easy for you. When you're starting out, put the horizon line at the eye level of one of the characters. Now, if you get it right, Do, 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 do. Let's see if I can get this even too. I've got stuff on my desk. So we're going to do a horizontal line. And we're going to go from shipwreck here. And it's going to be there. So at shipwreck's eye level. So you can see that our horizon line is going to go through shipwreck's eyes. Oh, come on. Alright, we're going to do it this way. It's going to go through shipwreck's eyes, and Hawkeye's eyes, and Jean Grey's forehead. And that's because Jean Grey's a little shorter. But this, putting the horizon line right at people's eyes is both convenient, because when normal people see each other, they're usually right about at the same eye height. So this puts the camera at the comfortable level for the viewer, and it also makes it really convenient and easy to place your characters on the horizon line. Just to show this, let's pretend that we are Shipwreck here. And you can see his eye line still pretty much lines up with Hawkeye's, because that horizon line is at eye level, and Shipwreck and Hawkeye are about the same height. Triangles are really useful for doing perspective, by the way, and T-squares. You don't need one. You can totally do it with just a ruler. But I like to use a triangle. So I'm just going to put a line here, and this is going to be my horizon line. This part may feel daunting, but it's not. Because we're going to do the thing of our horizon line is literally where the character's eye level is. So this here's Torrent, and we're putting him at the eye level. Now we're going to adjust these characters for height, but like, say I wanted characters in the foreground. Well, if I want a character really big in the foreground, I put their eye level at the horizon line, and then I adjust for height. So Albedo's a small Asian girl, so she's gonna go here. Her eye level compared to Torrance is lower, so we drop her a little bit. And actually we'll put her over here. And we'll overlap so you can see that she's way in front of him. And then Cascade here is only a little bit shorter than Torrent, so we're gonna just drop her a little bit. But she's way in the foreground. And then she's actually taller than Torrent, believe it or not. So Battle Axe is taller than Torrent, so there's her eye level. We're bringing her up. And if that was a group shot, that's how they'd line up. And that's how you would bring people, you know, you can line everyone up according to their eye line. And that's beautiful and easy, and that's where they'd be if this was a full drawing and everyone was in the foreground. And the only way that they wouldn't be lined up according to the eye line is if they were a character who could fly. Because then you would... The eye line wouldn't matter at all. You could put them wherever you want, so long as, you know, they're in the correct placement as far as the smallest or the furthest figure being smallest. So there you go. That's how you would line up with an eye line. How does this relate to two-point perspective? Well, two-point perspective uses this horizon line. So let's clear all these characters off. And let's do the two-point perspective. So you have a drawing of a character, you find their eye line, you put your horizon line in. I personally like to sketch out a little bit of where I want something in the background. You know, like maybe I want a building behind Torrent. Or maybe we'll do Torrent's on a street. He's standing on a sidewalk, and there's buildings behind him. So, what are we going to do here? I'll say the edge of the building is going to be here. So, I'm just putting in a horizontal line. Now here's the other thing. You want your vanishing points. The vanishing points are where all the lines in two-point perspective go to, except the ones that are vertical. You're going to be dealing with lines that are up and down, and you're going to be dealing with lines that go to one of two vanishing points. Well, where do we put the vanishing points? Now, this is very important. You want the vanishing points to be outside of your drawing. So if I wanted this drawing to take up the entire piece of paper, I would actually tape paper to this drawing, and I would put the vanishing points further out here. But it's much easier if you work on a sheet of paper that is larger than you want your drawing to be. So let's say that this is a comic. Or it's just a drawing, but I don't want to use the entire sheet of paper. So I'm gonna cut it off here. So that's the area we're working within. If you are working digitally, figure out how big you want your drawing to be, and then extend your canvas past that. It might help to put a background of a gray block, or put the background where the canvas is larger a different color than what you're working on, so you know where you originally wanted it to end. But you always want these vanishing points on outside of the frame. Why do you want them outside of the frame? Okay, so if I have a drawing, and this is my canvas, and it goes all the way to the edge, and I have my horizon line in, and I have my vanishing points. Let's make this really make sense, and I'm going to put a vanishing point here, which is a bad idea. So I'm going to draw my road. So we've got a road here, and let's see, we'll make this a corner. And a road here, and then there's a building behind Torrent, so we'll put some grass here. I'm going really rough because I just want to demonstrate. And there's a building behind Torrent, And the building ends here. And here's where we come into a real problem, because torrent's eye level is here. So the door is probably going to be about, yeah, we'll say this high on the building. That's the door to the building. And all of a sudden the building is really long and we can't put anything else here because everything has to go to this vanishing point. And then we get here and we have this whole part of the drawing to fill, but all the lines come and end here. So if I put a building here, and all the lines are supposed to go to here and here, then what do I do for this side of the building? This is 2-point perspective. I don't have another point to add. Now I have this really weird conundrum where I don't know where to put anything. So this is why you need this point off your page. And if you are doing the image and you have the points at the very edge of the image, then everything at the edges are going to be really, really, really tiny. They're going to fade into the background. And that's not going to look as nice than if you have them off the image, because you're going to lose depth. Everything's going to be really tiny on the sides of your image, and it's just not gonna look quite right. And the other thing is, if you're doing a large building, like say you might not be able to do what you want to do. Like if I want this building to be in perspective, everything is going to be really, really warped if I say I want this door to appear correct behind torrent and I want to put multiple buildings. Well, I don't even really have room for multiple buildings if I have these vanishing points really close. Alright, so we've got our horizon line. We've got the boundary for our image. We're going to have our vanishing points. Vanishing point here, vanishing point here. So I like to start with just a loose sketch of where I want to put things before I start drawing a grid. I know that the lines that I make are either going to be vertical, or they're going to go toward this point, or they're going to go toward this point. And if it's a building, then, you know, things on the left side of the vertical line will mainly go to this point, and then things on the right side of the vertical line will mainly go to this point, and that'll be nice and easy. So, if torrent is here, I'm gonna kind of sketch him in a little so I can have an idea what I'm doing here, because I'm going to need to move him in a second. So torrent's like here. This is a character from my books, by the way. It's Torrent from the East End Irregulars. And I'm going really fast and loose here because this is a demonstration. And I'm just trying to make a point. So if Torrent's here, say we want him standing on a sidewalk. So to put him on a sidewalk, there would be the sidewalk. Let's see. sidewalk coming from the other direction. And then there's going to be a curb on the sidewalk. And then we'll put a building right behind him. And the nice thing when you're doing this is we know that this is Torrance eyeline. If we draw a line from his feet and his head, then we know that this is Torrance head height, even over here where we want to put a door. And we know that this is his foot height back here where we want a door. So if we go here and we say, oh, we want a door that Torrance can walk through, then we know it has to be taller than his head, and it has to go down to his feet. So, if his feet would be, if this is where the door starts, Torrance about here, then we'll make the door open there. Let's make this one of those department stores with the wraparound window. So if Torrance knee is about here, the other thing you want to think about is like where Torrance is on the plane. So he's not on the exact same plane as the building. He's a little bit in front of it. So when we're thinking about Torrance knee height, we need to go back a little bit, like to here. So if that's where Torrance knee height would be on the building, we want to do a wraparound window. We'll take it to there. So, making my sketch a little darker. There's a door. And then we're going to have a window. And I'm drawing the window in even though you're not going to see that part of it. And you see it doesn't get too compressed at the edges because I have the vanishing points way far off the page. And then there's my sidewalk and my curb. And now that I have this much, I can go in and add my grid lines. Now if I was doing this for my own drawing, I always use two different colors. And I usually use these two, and I'll make all the lines going to one vanishing point this color and all the vanishing points going to this line this color. And I use light colors so that I can draw dark lines on top of them and then easily erase the light colors. But you guys need to be able to see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna put them in with darker lines. But it's really easy to tell where I'm going to need grid lines at, and I won't load my drawing up with too many grid lines because I already have an idea of what I'm doing. And when I make grid lines, I draw all the way through. And like I know there's going to be a little ledge on the window, so I'll add another little line in there. And there's going to be another ledge up here, like the lip of the door. And then sometimes I'll just look and I'll say, in case I want to add some extra details somewhere, I'll just do some more evenly spaced lines just so I have them there, because that'll help me ad-lib details. And then we'll use dark blue for this one. And I think this is a lot easier to just like get a sketch down and then draw some grid lines for yourself, because then you're not like trying to measure out each line as you go. You're getting a better overall feel for the drawing as a whole. And what we say, there's going to be a little edge there, so we'll add another line. And let's see. Usually a line in the corner of things is relevant. So we'll put that there. And then let's get something really dark. All right. And now that we have all this here, we can actually like go in and block out our background. So this straight line here is going to be the edge of the building. So we can put that in. And that's not going to look clear enough. I'll use pen. Let's live dangerously. Alright, so this is, you draw on a straight line without a ruler. And then this is the edge of our building. And then here's our door. And when you come to corners on things like this, they're gonna go toward the other vanishing point. And by giving myself a couple guidelines where I didn't need them, like, you know, I don't have a full line going this way, but I can look at this and say, that's pretty close to where I need it. So the extra guidelines are helpful. Let's see, the bar to the door is going to be lower than eye height, so we'll put a bar there. And then we want one of those giant windows here, so our ledge. Now, where this corner meets here, we want that again. Now this is a really long building, so let's make this building not so long. So we'll put in a vertical line here. Alright, But you could see how it was much more convenient to just know where, like this is where it ends. Make sure that those horizon, or make sure that the vanishing points are way outside of where I want my canvas, my image to end. You know, this is the active area of the drawing. No one's going to see what's on the outside of these boxes, and you want those vanishing points out there. And then these extra places, you know, I can put my crack in the sidewalk here. You know, put a weed there. Make a crack in the sidewalk there. Another weed. And yeah, it's a nice, convenient way when you use that eye level. And like I said, this is just a rough sketch, but if she's standing way in the fort or in the front up here, everything's conveniently at eye level. So to do easy 2-point perspective, eye level horizon line, crop in on your paper, or if you're working digitally, expand your palette out, and the 2 vanishing points. Hey, you didn't leave. You're getting the hang of this. So then, when you're done your random and impromptu tutorial for a friend's question, you glue your characters onto popsicle sticks and make them dance. Dun 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 dun, mana mana dun 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 dun, mana mana dun 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 dun, mana mana. These two really do not like each other. This would never happen in universe. Alright guys, have a good day. Presto, over and out.
Farewell and adieu to you, fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu to you, ladies of Spain.